What is going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. We are back with another edition of Passion and Precision with myself and Jory, co host. I mean, we've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. So if you are new to the channel, we definitely appreciate you for coming in. Make sure you jump in the comments and in the chat because that'll be one thing you'll find out. We definitely love interacting with you all. We have a full slate, a full show tonight. We're going to touch on some NBA once again as the season is kind of quickly approaching. Even if you may not be ready for it, it's right around the corner. We're going to do what we normally do with the NFL, break down some of the big stories that happened, get into some picks as well, because I will show you all right now between Jory and myself. We are separated by one game in terms of our picks. You'll see later on who is leading, but it's very close. So each week, it's definitely interesting to see how our picks go. But before we get into our first topic, how are you doing, Jory?
It's been a week, but yeah, it's been a week. But I'm glad that I get to relax and talk some sports because I have a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited to get to discussing.
All right. I mean, that's definitely something we do on here. We love to come in here and talk sports to kind of get away from it. We're both very big sports fans. It's very easy for us to just go in here and chat for a little bit. So let's go ahead, get into our first topic. We're going to take a look at the NBA. Hold on a second. Bam, there we go. So every year, if you are an NBA fan or not, they poll the GMs. They give them like a set of scenarios, some awards, questions, all that. See where their head is at going into the new season. So I looked at the survey. I think they gave them like 50 questions or something. I have not looked at all of them, but there's a few of them that I want to go through, kind of get Jory's initial thoughts on them. If you checked out On the Ball, I did this a little bit with Brett. So there may be some overlap between that. I might pick out some new ones for you, Jory. We'll kind of see where that goes. But let's start with the first one, which I feel like is the best place to start. So, in terms of next season's NBA title, I will say that last year they predicted Celtics and Nuggets. They tied 33% to win the NBA Finals. So, for one out of two, not bad, and they did actually pick the champion correctly. So, this year, they have the Celtics as the favorite to repeat. 83% of GMs picked the Celtics. Now, second and third may surprise you a bit. Because second, they have the Oklahoma City Thunder at 13%, and then third, with 3%, the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh hell no!
Some people, I've seen videos where people are high on Dallas. They think Dallas has gotten better. They think Dallas could very well get back there. So, just because of what you initially thought, is Dallas the team that you're surprised by? Or are you surprised that the Thunder, according to GMs, are the favorites in the West right now?
These are GMs,
Yep.
like certified GMs.
Yeah. These are all
I'm trying
30
to,
NBA GMs.
I'm trying to take their extensive NBA knowledge into hand and give them a little bit of credit. But
Okay.
Dallas, damn, what are the Nuggets? Chopped liver?
I feel like with the Nuggets, it's kind of getting to that point where I don't know if they're necessarily being like more and more disrespected, but it just seems like a lot of NBA fans think that the title that they won was like a one-off, and that they don't have the staying power to necessarily win multiple. And it seems like with each passing year, they're becoming less and less of the story.
I mean, I get it. I see that part because you saw the Jamal Murray epic meltdown in the playoffs this
True.
past season. That will be memorable. and there will be
Hmm.
nothing that he can do that is going to not make me unsee him acting like a big ass baby
Yeah.
and throwing that towel on the floor like he had the emotional control of a toddler. There's nothing he can do that's gonna make me unsee that.
Hmm.
You can't make anybody unsee anything that they saw. But and he starts disappearing in the playoffs more as well. So I get that part, but at the same time, they're still very talented.
Hmm.
And Dallas really has to really prove it to me again. Like
Okay.
they took me on a wild ride this year, but just because you get Clay Thompson don't mean you're title favorites. That
Yeah.
look, he's old Clay. Defense is optional, and I don't know what to expect from him night in and night out.
Yeah. I will say I've seen some people because I know you brought up the Clay Thompson addition. I've seen some who feel like yes, Clay Thompson not the same player. His impact might be marginal. I've seen other podcasts and some like clips where they're getting into like heated arguments over Clay Thompson. And I've seen some say like, well, Clay Thompson is an upgrade over PJ Washington, an upgrade over Derrick Jones Jr., upgrade over whoever. And I've seen people argue that defensively, Clay Thompson can still get it done. I'm kind of like you. I think his defense has slipped to the point where Dallas is probably going to have to hide him a little bit on defense. But maybe they feel like he'll be more motivated this year. First, you had a Golden State to prove people wrong. Maybe that's where a lot of that's coming from. I don't know.
Look, in what right now, maybe a few years ago, Clay Thompson is an upgrade over PJ Washington, but right now, it might be an even swap. I might even take PJ Washington slightly over Clay Thompson at this point and arguing over defense. Did they watch the same amount of basketball I did last year?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like his impact will probably be offensively because if the finals where
Exactly.
in the finals where they struggled a lot was Luka and Kyrie dribbling into the paint, defense collapses on them, and they kicked it out to PJ Washington or Derrick Jones, and they couldn't hit shots. Obviously, defenses won't necessarily do that with Clay night in and night out. I mean, there will be some nights where Clay is probably bricking shots that the defense will sag a little bit off of him, but knowing who Clay is and you figure shooting doesn't necessarily leave your body. Like if you're a shooter, you can always shoot. That I can see where it helps them. The question is going to be, does that outweigh what he potentially loses on the defensive end? That would be the question. What's going on,
But then
Trajan?
you get
Takes.
Luca who puts a half-ass effort on defense when he feels
Mhm.
like it. Kyrie who can play defense, but it's kind of iffy with him as well. And then you got Clay Thompson, who's defensively has taken a stop, has taken a little slip back.
Mhm.
And then on top of the fact that he's night in, night out, hot and cold, and he's not consistent anymore. Why the hell is Dallas have a 3% chance?
I feel like the 3% is the motivation. They feel like he's gonna be motivated to show Golden State was wrong and just moving on from him. I feel like that's where it is. I don't know. Maybe they just think
And
the
can
West is
Luca
gonna
stay in
be.
shape?
Hmm?
And can Luca stay in shape?
I mean, at this point, I kind of figure Luka's just gonna be an out of shape guy. He's just very talented offensively that it doesn't hurt him too much. I, I look. I would be shocked if one year Luka came in, slim and just looked like a world class athlete. I don't know if that's in him. I just feel like at this
Can
point,
you
what you see
imagine
from him
where the
is what he's going to
Mavericks
be.
would be?
Hmm.
Can you imagine where the Mavericks would be if Luka would be in shape for one whole season?
There's a few guys you can say that about.
Yeah,
Embiid was another guy who I feel like a lot of his injuries are
he,
because he's not in shape. Zion,
and that's true too. Zion's whole career has been marred by injury, and that's because he on a seafood diet instead of an actual diet.
yeah,
When I mean seafood, I mean he see it and he eat it.
yeah. I mean, James Harden's had his moments.
Don't get me started on him.
Yeah. Trajan said, "No defense in the NBA, anyways." There's a few guys who can
There's
still
a
play
few guys that
defense,
still play defense. Is
and
I
Cuban
appreciate a
is
good
even good on
defensive
Shark
effort.
Tank. Yeah,
Cuban sold his stake in the team. He ain't got no say no more.
yeah.
He
Cuban's
sold majority
Cuban's
share.
made enough money. Yeah, he's made plenty of money off of that team. All right, let's go to another one. Uh, MVP. So according to GMs, SGA at 40% is their favorite to an MVP. 30% you got Luca. 7% you have a tie between Embiid, Jokic, and Tatum.
On one hand, I'm glad to see Jason Tatum getting some respect.
Okay.
As a Lakers fan, I shouldn't be saying that, but I am also a very rational basketball fan. I know ball,
Mhm.
I know talent, I know where people need to be recognized. But SGA, I mean, I get it. He was fit, wasn't he in the top votes last year?
He was second last year.
He was
Yeah.
second last year. I mean, I get it. Who won it? Wasn't it wasn't Embiid. Was it Jokic?
Why am I drawing a blank all of a sudden? Uh,
I got my laptop right here and I'm tripping. Um, I'm thinking it was Jokic. If somebody knows who won the
why does
last
last season
MVP,
seem like 4 years ago?
and it was just a few months ago.
Was it Jokic? Yeah. No.
Hold on.
This is wild. I feel like it was right there on the tip of my tongue.
Now my computer want to be slow and stuff. Like,
Uh,
hurry up.
hold on. I can tell you.
Jokic.
Okay.
Jokic was first. SGA and then Luca.
Yes. Okay. Trey just says, watch out for Giannis. Also, I'm telling you now, Dame is going to have a big year.
All right.
They definitely need Dame to have a big year. I will say that.
Mhm. They pay him too much.
Yes. And Giannis, I mean, as otherworldly as Giannis is, he needs somebody to step up. Like when they won the title, he had Middleton. Middleton, because of the injuries and everything, he's not the same player. So Dame is gonna have to pick up some of that slack. And I mean, look, Trajan, for your hope, yes, Dame needs to have a big year.
And what I'm noticing in these questions, in the
Hmm.
answer, I kind of want to point that out. I think there's some Denver fatigue going on.
Yeah, I agree. I
Because
agree.
Jokic is still a great player. He's still MVP caliber. I don't know why he's not on this list.
No, Jokic was
Is-
tied with Embiid and Tatum for with 7% of the
Oh,
vote. Yeah, but last year he was the leading vote getter at 43%. So in 1 year, he's gone down from 43% to 7% of the vote.
and that foolishness, that dud they laid in the playoffs, we all saw it coming. It
Hmm.
really it should have happened against the Lakers, but the Lakers, don't get me started on them. Because
All right.
they,
Yeah,
oh,
look, we will have plenty of shows once the season starts that I'm sure we will talk your Lakers and my Celtics a lot. So I don't want you to get too annoyed or whatever by them now. Let's wait until the
I
season.
already am.
Well, we'll save that for once the season starts. I got another one for you. So they asked the GMs if they were starting a franchise today, they could sign any player in the NBA. Who would it be? This one was overwhelmingly 77% of the vote to Victor Wembanyama, 10% SGA and Jokic, 3% Luca.
I mean, I get it with Wimbiana. That's a key piece. How else you gonna build the team around him? I get it.
Well, I mean that
You
I guess
see it off of potential.
that would have been like a follow up. I mean, they're saying like they would target Wembanyama first, which I mean, like you're saying, I get it. He's 7 foot, whatever. He can handle the ball. He's rim protection. He's a really good athlete. It's hard to pass up on that talent. Anthony, what's going on? As
He's
Anthony said,
still a
Luka,
little light in the cake for me. He need to gain some weight.
and that's going to be
Think
the
if he in
interesting thing.
Texas,
That's going to be the interesting part of his development because they said the same thing about KD when he came out because KD like you go back and look at that Texas jersey that he had on and that thing was huge on him. And
he
if
look
you look
like
at
a
him
jet.
now, you look at him now compared to rookie year, he's slightly bigger. So can Wembanyama even do that? Get slightly bigger and see if that helps him out a little bit more.
Just get a little bit. He looked
Yep.
like a big old green bean.
True. But I mean, like they say, the human body in their frame can only necessarily change so much. So we
And
don't know how
sometimes
much.
he looks a little weird going up and down the court. Maybe it's because he's so tall.
Yes.
And I'm 5'3". That man is 2 feet and an inch taller than me. And two, yeah, he's 7'4".
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like at that height, it'd be hard not to look awkward running up and down a court.
True.
Because Boban was a big guy, he was pretty awkward running up and down the court as well.
His legs are about my height. Like that. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Crazy thing is, we'll probably see somebody like even bigger than him in like a few years, just with the way
Oh yeah.
people are going.
But
Uh,
with me, if I'm building my team around anybody as of right now, what was the list?
they had Wemby, SGA, Jokic, Luca.
I'm a more tried and true person. Yao Ming was not skinny. He had a little meat on his bone.
I think he had a big frame. He just had terrible feet.
I want to say Jokic because he
Okay.
has the more experience. I'm more of an experienced type of person. Even though I'm not a Doc Rivers. If I young talent that I can plug and play immediately, I'm playing them. I'm not a Doc Rivers in that type of man. But I
Mhm.
prefer experience. So I would definitely build my team around more of a Jokic as of right now.
I mean, look, anybody in that top four, you probably wouldn't go wrong with either of them. Like I said, the Wemby, the allure, the mystique, and his ability. I understand that. I was probably surprised that it was 77%, like overwhelmingly with him. But I mean, he's got a lot of hype behind him, so I guess I understand that part of it. All right, so they did ask them who are the best players at each position. So this one might be somewhat interesting. Anthony asked, "Is age a factor or just talent?" So they just asked the GMs, just without any restrictions, like who's the one player if they could only sign one that they would. All right, so according to the GMs, the best point guard in the NBA, 37% Luca, 30% SGA, 23% Steph, 10% Jalen Brunson. So according to GMs, Luca is the best point guard in the NBA.
That just made me itch. Cause look, Brunson, the guy who can't
Look,
create his own shot consistently, Brunson.
the New York market is definitely working in Jalen Brunson's favor. I think Jalen Brunson is a good player. I just feel like because he's in New York, the Knicks had some success last year. I think he's overrated, but like I said, I think he is a good player. But the way some people talk about him, you would think Jalen Brunson was
The best thing walking is sliced bread.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. There are some parts of his game that I'm not the biggest fan of. I think a lot of times, especially in playoff games, he tries to do way too much. He forces a lot of shots, which is why they had so many guys like Josh Hart, Hartenstein. Why do you think those guys are on the court? Because they make hustle plays. A lot of times they were hustling after Jalen Brunson's misses. So, but look, he's in New York. He's got that fan base, you know, fired up. I feel like the GMs are buying into that a little bit. But he came in fourth.
Wait till you get, wait till
At
you
least
get
he didn't
Carl
first,
Anthony
'cause
Towns,
then
who just don't
I
want to
would have
go to the
lost.
bucket. Wait
Yeah.
till he has to deal with that. Good luck to him. Good luck to him. I wish him nothing but the best. But Brunson having a percent of best PG in the league,
Yep.
when you can definitely name a couple that are better than him off rip, give
Hey,
me a break. They're wrong. And I understand that they're GMs, they're
yeah.
wrong.
Okay. So you have any issue with Luca being voted the best point
No.
guard? Okay. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I do like SGA, but it's hard to deny how good Luca is, and yeah, so I'm fine with that one. This one might get you as well. Best shooting guard in the NBA, 33% Anthony Edwards, 23% Devin Booker. Now here's where some of the GMs got a little wonky with it because SGA got 20%. I guess if you feel like he's a shooting guard, maybe Steph 10% and Luca got 7%. So they have Ant as the best shooting guard in the NBA.
I don't think he's there yet. I
Okay.
think he's a very good shooting guard. I don't think he's one of I don't think he's capped the best. Now, he could come out on a tear and play well coming out.
Mhm.
Well, Minnesota usually comes out playing well. They fall flat as the season progresses, which is why they haven't went to an NBA title yet. Um,
So if it's not Ant, who would you say? Because I mean, they did have Booker second. Are you putting Booker over Ant?
no,
Okay. So for you, it's somebody who they didn't even vote for.
probably, but my basketball knowledge. Football has taken over my brain right now, so my knowledge
I
of these
understand.
names is kind of weird.
I
But
I get it.
he's one of the best. He's top three. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the title. I just wouldn't put him at number one when I've seen players play better than him consistently. I just can't think of names right now. Y'all
I
gotta
will
give
throw
me a
the
minute.
name to you. It's a homer pick. Jalen Brown. Would you go Ant or Jalen Brown?
But Jalen Brown is not that far behind.
Okay.
I
I
have
was
Jalen
using
Brown
that as a base.
closer behind Ant than Booker
Okay.
because I've seen it and it's resulted in a championship. Anything Booker has done, I don't care what type of team he's had around him. You can't give. I don't want the excuse of he's had a bad team. No,
Hmm.
because then they go to the finals for Chris Paul. Or
Yes,
am I
it is.
confusing that with somebody else? I'm like, how Booker plays is not conducive to winning a championship. How Brown plays is conducive to winning a championship. If Minnesota can get the pieces correct around Ant, they might be able to win a championship. But as of right now, I give Ant a pretty good edge over Brown. But Brown is really not that far behind.
Okay. Um, I mean, kind of like you. I'm trying to think of like shooting guards around the league.
Y'all,
I
it's
mean, you have
football
Donovan
season. I
Mitchell.
haven't been thinking about basketball.
Because also you have Donovan Mitchell, but I feel like would you classify him as a point guard or a shooting guard?
He ain't nothing in the playoffs. So that takes that off the table.
That's true. I mean, the toughest part when you're looking at guards, there's so many guards that are combo guards that they kind of cross over. There's very few that are strictly point guards or strictly shooting guards. So I mean, Anthony Edwards, I guess I'm not mad at it right now. And maybe once the season starts, I'll probably see a couple of guys and go, "Oh yeah, yeah, he's probably better." But I'm fine with it. All right, small forward. According to the GMs, with 40% of the vote, they have Jason Tatum as the best small forward in the NBA. Tied
They
for
got something
second,
right.
tied for second, they have Luca, who apparently Luca is a 1, 2, and a 3. They have Kevin Durant and LeBron James, each with 17%, and then Jalen Brown with 3%.
Give me a break. Give me a break. What? Like,
Okay, so
I
Anthony
get
brought
Jason
up
Tatum.
somebody. Anthony brought up a name for, I guess, the guard question. Kyrie Irving.
The GMs don't like Kyrie Irving. They're not going to give him a vote for a piece of water, for a drop of water. So there's that. Um, I get Kyrie Irving is a top small forward, but the whole list repeated. Like once you get me at Luca playing three
So yeah,
positions, I'm like, what? Is he a guard? Is he a shooting guard? Is he a forward? What is Luca? Why is he on multiple things?
I
Do
guess
we need to make?
Luca's body type, I guess he could get away with it against certain players. You know, certain lineups. I guess if you had Luca at the 3, sure. But so once again, you had Jason Tatum at 1, 47%, tied for second. Luca, KD, and LeBron each got 17%, and then you had Jalen Brown who got 3%.
I feel like we're gonna overrate Luca a lot. The media is gonna overrate Luca a lot this season.
I
So
think they really want to push him for MVP.
that they're pushing him. I see the
Yes.
plot. So this upcoming basketball season, we got to watch for Denver fatigue, Jalen Brunson being hilariously overrated,
Yes.
and so is Luca.
I mean, at least
Like,
Luca was in the finals. Jalen Brunson has not made it that far yet.
yet to yeah. I
I
mean,
feel
I
like it's
get it.
easy to overrate the guy who was just in the finals. I guess I can understand that.
I get it. I just don't. Would you put old LeBron and old ass Kevin Durant, even though I really
Yeah,
haven't seen a step back in their play yet? Like a huge step back. I want to give them credit for that because they've been playing for as long as LeBron has been playing since I was 3. I'm
hmm
23.
I feel like there's one thing
So for
that
him
nobody
to
will
play as
necessarily
long,
take away from is his longevity. Yeah.
and for him not to have those steep declines, like I know it's coming, but it hasn't happened yet. And he's
Mm-hmm.
40. What? He's 40. I'm like, I'm gonna give him credit for that.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant too, because Kevin Durant has had his injuries. I will give them their credit. But namesake placement or namesake
Mm-hmm.
vote, yes,
Okay.
because you could put a couple of small forwards
Mm-hmm.
ahead of them. Well, not. I have to get my basketball list together. We might actually do that. Get our top five list of positions. We might have to do
Yes.
that.
We'll do that either like the week of the start of the season or like the week before. Yes, we'll definitely do that. I will make a note of that because I think that would be very interesting how you and I both look at the positions. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. That would be a fun experiment. Um, so we'll do power forward and center, and then we'll move on because, like I said, I don't want to spend like an hour and a half because we could spend a whole show doing this GM survey. To be honest with you,
Cause this is
we do
fun.
have some NFL to talk about. It is. So I feel like we'll probably revisit it even next week and maybe do like a little bit more week in and week out. Why not? Um, best power forward. I feel like something. This one may get you as well. So overwhelmingly, 77% of the vote to Giannis. Second, Kevin Durant, 7%. That's it. Now, the also receiving votes is where you may have an issue because also receiving votes, AD. So I guess AD didn't score as much to land on the list. They just had Giannis and Durant's other receiving votes were AD, Draymond Green, Domantas Sabonis, Jason Tatum, and Wemby.
These GMs can go to hell. What? So 77% of them decided Giannis was the best
Yes.
power forward, and then
Mm-hmm.
they go from Giannis
7% said
straight
KD.
to KD.
KD. Yep.
You
And then
don't give
everybody else
anybody
after
else
that
any
is
type of
just
consideration.
everybody else is also receiving votes. Yeah.
They get on my nerves because I'm like, y'all know basketball, but y'all act like y'all don't. What is this type of foolishness?
I
And
mean,
you
look,
wonder why
Durant is
half of these
talented. Yes.
people, and you wonder why half of these people run franchises that haven't won anything in 30 years.
That's probably a
Stuff like this.
fair point.
Don't get me
Yeah,
started on
Anthony threw
Paolo
up.
Banchero. I don't like him. He done made me fall out with people. I am not a Paolo Banchero fan. Some of my biggest fights have been over that man.
Uh, yeah, I look. I will say, Anthony. I can also get where Jory's coming from with that one because I do think Banchero is a talented player. I still say he plays a little bit too much on the perimeter for me. I would like to see him. Oh, Jory will come back in. I think Banchero could make his way up there, like next season's survey. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Oh, hold on, she's right back. There we go. Welcome back. So yeah,
Sorry about that.
Banchero, we'll see. Maybe he could, uh, maybe he could be on next season's survey. Anthony said, "Sounds like you're a fighter all season."
I am. And it comes from different angles. I can't have an NFL week without somebody saying something stupid that make me react. And then when somebody hit me with some stupid stuff as far as basketball, I gotta react. My pet peeve is stupidity and people who don't think about both sides of the equation.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony, I will say that what you're saying like about Jory is, I feel like one of the reasons why we decided to do this show, because both of us are very opinionated when it comes to people's point of views, how narrow or tunnel vision a lot of people are, and that is a big annoyance, especially when it comes to sports for both of us. So that's why, yes, trust me, the NBA season you will see it a lot more because there's plenty of that goes around the NBA. All right, the last one,
In my own
best
fan
center in the
base, I
NBA.
have to start muting words.
That's also a big
In my
part.
own
You
fan
as a
base,
Lakers fan, me as a Celtics fan, yes. Hmm.
like the word Bronny is already muted. You already knew that.
I did forget. We're gonna have, yeah. That's probably gonna come up a few times during the NBA season, and we're gonna
That's
have to
already
just
muted. I don't want to see it. This is my
yes,
annoyance that's been going on all basketball off season. Part of my annoyance.
yeah. I completely agree. Um, all right, best center, and then we'll go into the NFL. 87% Nikola Jokic. So at least Denver fatigue, they still think Jokic is the best center in the NBA. 10% Joel Embiid, 3% Wemby.
Anthony Davis is better than Wemby right now. Let's not play right now. Let's not play games.
According to the GMs, they feel like AD more of a power forward than a center because he at least got votes for power forward.
They're
So they get AD for
delusional.
center.
They're delusional.
True. Although AD has said before like he prefers playing the four than the five, but I agree with you. I feel like if AD,
That does not
I feel like if AD like wanted to be a five, he would actually be really
a
good at it.
center.
He'd be better than he is now. He'd be really good at it.
Exactly. And as he is right now, I think he's a little bit better than Wemby. I have to see more from
Hmm.
Wemby. The Spurs need to start winning more basketball games so I can see more.
I mean,
So I'll be more inclined to see more. Because what I will not do this NBA season is what I did
mhm.
last season. Is torture myself by watching bad teams highlights. I'm not doing that. I refuse.
Anthony says
It took me 2 weeks of Wizards highlights for me to go insane.
Wizards. Yes, I commended you for doing that. I saw the Wizards play maybe twice all last season. One when they played the Celtics, and I was like, yeah, this team's a hot mess. And then the second time was probably some might have been like a Hawks game against them. They were not a reason to go like on YouTube and look up their highlights. There was no reason for that. One,
And I
it'd be hard
regret
to
my
find,
decision
but
doing
two,
that. I regret
you did that for all of us. We appreciate you.
it.
Uh, so yeah, Anthony did say Victor's good because he's 7'4". He would average 10 rebounds if he was that tall. That's yeah. Although Brooke Lopez is pretty tall, in past couple of years he wasn't that great of a rebounder. But yeah, like I said, we'll
Shoot.
visit. Hey, he's carved out a career for himself doing that. He's one of the more interesting careers that I can remember. Like he came out of Stanford as a guy who played around the rim, and now he's a guy who shoots threes and doesn't want to be around the rim. Like that transformation has been wild for me. But um, yeah, so like I was telling you on the chat, like Jory and I are big NBA fans. We will talk lot more about it coming weeks as we are close to the season. We will revisit the GM survey and look at some more questions that they had to answer next week. But we do want to get into some NFL, so that's why we're going to move on and get into some news and notes from this past week. Some stories you may have missed, or some you might have, and would just love to hear our opinion on it. First up, we got to talk about these two. This is probably going to be the lasting image of these two relationship. Thursday night game, New England. Aaron Rodgers makes this play. Robert Saleh goes in for the hug. Rodgers pushes him away, gave him a side eye walking away from him. That turned into how much they like each other, blah, blah, blah. Saleh gets fired. Aaron Rodgers did his Pat McAfee, you know, appearance where he tried to make it seem like he wasn't involved. He had this great relationship with him. We know what Aaron Rodgers loves to do on Pat McAfee. So I guess the question is, was it the right time or justified firing Robert Saleh the way that they did?
No. And I would justify the firing had it happened like week 13, week 15,
Okay.
somewhere towards the end of the season. Not
Mm-hmm.
5 games into a season with a 40-year-old quarterback who's just coming back from an Achilles tear. Like, that don't make any sense. And the fact that his two things in this case can be true.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Saleh was a mediocre, subpar head coach during his tenure. He was not set up for success, and Aaron Rodgers in that offense got him fired. Aaron Rodgers don't throw 3 picks, and they managed to win versus Minnesota. Saleh has his job.
Yep.
But because they went over across the pond in front of Woody Johnson's buddies, because you know that man was used to be an ambassador in London, and
Mm-hmm.
lost like that, he was like, one, it was an emotional decision too. He might say it was rational. It was emotional because you don't go straight to just firing the head coach in mid-season. If you're going to start making these type of changes throughout the season, you start with the coaching staff. He should have started with Nathaniel Hackett, who has pretty much been demoted to laundry duty at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, just fire the man at that point. You already got uniform people. Fire them. If you're going to fire Saleh, fire the offensive coordinator. And if you're going to promote the defensive coordinator, who is going to just demote Hackett anyway, fire him. But the Jets are dysfunctional. And this is how dysfunctional franchises operate. That decision, it could have been the right decision had it been later in the season. But what I will say about Saleh, because I don't want it to make it seem like I'm just defending Saleh and I'm on my soapbox defending him and saying he was wrongly fired. This team, hold on, let me get my notes. He was a mediocre head coach. Some of his decision making has been questionable. The team is also sometimes they've in the 3 years that he's been there, they have found ways to lose games by either undisciplined play, they front run so they can beat up on people like the Patriots without Tom Brady. But when it's actual competition, they fold. They do the cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
That right there. And when they start playing undisciplined and flag, 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 and it looks like a hot mess, and you have players arguing and fighting over the sideline, I see why the Jets wanted to fire him. But week 6 is not where you fire your head coaches. Week 12, week 13. Brandon Staley got more than 6 weeks.
Yeah. And it took Brandon Stanley
Like,
giving
come
up
on.
70 to the Raiders.
Yeah, that was memorable. That whole team quit. if I didn't see a whole team quit, like
Yeah.
they quit. They quit before the game started.
Hmm.
And it's not like the team was quitting on the man. It wasn't that type of situation. It's just the offense didn't know what the hell to do or how to act, how to operate like an apt NFL offense
Hmm.
consistently. It was a train wreck. And the fact that the Jets decided to tailor their whole offseason and whatnot when they got Rodgers to getting the pieces Rodgers wanted instead of pieces that they needed. And now that it looks like a hot mess, you fire the coach. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Dysfunction. And they will never succeed as long as that
I completely
man
agree.
is the owner.
Yeah. And like what you'll know about the Jets is they play in New York. Well, technically New Jersey, but it's the New York area. So when you look at the teams in New York, New York is a city that expects winning from their franchises. You can look at it with the 27 titles of the Yankees. So the Yankees are obviously like number one in New York. The Giants had their heyday in like the 80s, I think early 90s. So they get some clout around New York. The Knicks are a big brand in the NBA, so they get their attention. I'm even taking it to hockey. The Rangers, historical team. The Islanders, not so much. I think the Islanders you could probably put on the side of like the Jets as kind of the two teams that really have to fight for like ad space or
Relevancy.
back page. Yes, relevancy was the word I was trying to look for there. So because of that, their fan bases, especially looking at the Jets, when they feel like they have something going, they go like all in and they're in your face about it. So last year when they got Aaron Rodgers, you couldn't tell a Jets fan they weren't going to win the Super Bowl because they assumed they'd win multiple with Aaron Rodgers. They looked at their defense. They're like, all we needed is a quarterback. Went out and got Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Now, obviously, last year he gets hurt. You can't predict that. But coming into this season, you couldn't tell a Jets fan yet again that they weren't going to be contenders for a Super Bowl. Plenty could argue against it if you pay attention to his Packers career. He won that Super Bowl in Green Bay in his third season. There was a good 14 whatever years of Green Bay being good in the regular season, making the playoffs,
And
and
flaming out.
Rodgers in that offense not showing up in the biggest moment. And because of that, I've never bought into the whole he's going to bring the Jets to where they want to go. So, fast forwarding all that to the Robert Saleh part of this, I agree with you. I don't understand the move now, especially when week one the defense looked terrible against San Francisco. I can't argue against that. But since then, the defense has been what they're supposed to be, legit. Robert Saleh is a defensive head coach. Where we get most defensive head coaches and you know knock them down is because their defense stinks and they're a defensive coach. Robert Saleh's defense didn't stink. So if you want to blame Saleh for bringing in Hackett and assuming Hackett and Rodgers could fix the offense, fine. But my biggest gripe with all this is if you wanted to play the blame game, and yes, Robert Saleh definitely gets some of it, then why does Hackett still have keys to the building? Because if you're going to tell me the offense hasn't been up to par, and you're going to take the play calling away from Nathaniel Hackett and give it to, I guess, the passing game coordinator, which the passing game's been
Good luck
trashed
with
too.
that.
How does that guy become offensive coordinator when the passing game is trash right now? But that's the Jets. So how come Hackett gets a demotion? He stays there, even though he was brought in to fix the offense. So at this point, Is Hackett like Aaron Rodgers' towel boy? Is he there his motivational speaker? Like, what is he supposed to do? That's the part I don't get. Like, if the report came out and said the Jets fired Hackett and Saleh, I would still say it's kind of messed up for Saleh, but at least they're just trying something new. But to fire Saleh
Mm-hmm.
and keep Hackett with a reduced role makes this look even worse to me. Because I agree with you, he's not a. If you were naming your top 5 head coaches, he wouldn't be anywhere near there. If you're naming your top 10 coaches in the league, he probably wouldn't be anywhere near that list either. But a team that was 2-3, a game behind the Bills in the AFC East, I don't understand the justification for this move at all. And for Rodgers
And
to sit
look,
there and try to act like we're dumb and say, "Oh, I had nothing to do with it." Look, your whole career has been nothing short of you trying to manipulate teams to do what you want. He tried with the Packers. He got what McCarthy fired. He almost got LaFleur fired. He cried every draft season that they weren't drafting wide receivers for him, only for him to not utilize the young wide receivers he had and only wanting
mm-hmm.
to throw to Devontae Adams. So, like, this guy is just, he loves attention as long as it's good attention, because then he feeds into it. Once it's negative, then he gets all,
Salty and pissy.
yes, pretty much. And we were starting to see that, which was obviously the signs that Salah was not going to be there too long. Because the Jets have committed to Aaron Rodgers.
And then you're going from bad to worse when it comes to Hackett and Downing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Titans fan. I know what Downing is. Whole lot of predictable, whole lot of play action pass, not a lot of spreading it out. Good luck.
Yep.
Because I think they're going to get more frustrated with Hackett, with Downing, than they do with Hackett. And then I realized that they got, not only did they get Todd Downing, they got Keith Carter, the O-line coach who used to be at Tennessee with Vrabel. That's why their O-line stinks. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Your coaching ain't right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they keep drafting the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Mekhi Becton, where is he at?
I feel like I saw him the other day. Where is Becton? But I mean, I guess yeah, he's not in New York. So I look, I feel like at the end of the season there's probably gonna be more changes. Like it just is. Um, hold on, what is this? Malik attending a sold out concert with a concussion. He's not playing tomorrow, but going to concerts.
Neighbors,
That's all I was
priorities.
thinking it was.
If you can't play, why? Because you're concussed. Why the hell are you going to a concert with all these bright lights that's probably going to hurt your head? Why are you even putting yourself in that situation? Not only that, you look terrible doing that. You look bad.
That is weird. A concert seems like the last place you'd want to go
It's
after.
loud. And if my head hurt and I'm concussed and my brain is ringing, the last thing I want to do is go somewhere where there's loud music and lights.
Yeah. Hey,
And the optics are terrible.
exactly. Yes. A lot of these players, like for a lot of players, it's very simple. Like common sense. You are an NFL player. Don't think you can sneak out and go to a concert and nobody know you're going to be there. Like, that's the crazy part. Like if you so desperately want to hear music, chill in your house and play some music. Because now you're going to go out, you're probably going to get some TMZ video of it, and hopefully he just goes to the concert and goes home and nothing else comes from it. Because that's also the last thing he would need. Oh, look, Malik Neighbors involved in a fight or something. I better not see like that headline come out Sunday.
Hmm.
All right, let's go on to the next bit of news. Drake May is getting his start in New England. The Patriots have made it official. They're moving on from Jacoby Brissett. Drake May will start against the Texans on Sunday. So now,
They couldn't have picked
Caleb
another
Williams,
week.
they could have, but I do understand the timing of it. So so right now we'll get all three of the top picks starting. Caleb Williams started since game one. Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I mean, JJ McCarthy got hurt. He probably would have started maybe. Although now looking at what Sam Darnold's doing, maybe the Vikings lucked into something. Bo Nix is starting. So we're getting this new wave of these young talent that are going to play. So I guess you kind of answered the question a little bit because I was about to ask you: is it too soon, or do you think it was the right time to move on to Drake May?
I mean, it was coming, but I knew it was coming. But against the fast defense of Houston, you really want to throw him out there? The offensive line isn't the best. Sorry, Kyle. But
Hmm?
you really want to put him out there. But Houston can get got too. Houston has been gettable.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look as efficient. They don't look as clean. And Nico Collins is kind of ain't Nico hurt.
Yes. Yes.
So, mm, which makes you think. But if he can go out there and make something shake with that offensive line and some of those young receivers, I'll be impressed. I'll be watching. It's just not optimal considering you got a very good defense, or supposed to be good
Mm-hmm.
defense up next.
So I agree because when I was looking at it, my whole thought was week 7 is when we see Drake May, the game in London against the Jags.
I would
Like what?
much rather see him versus the Jags for the first time because they don't have a defense.
Mm-hmm.
Houston got one.
There's a couple of factors that have slowly started, realizing. Well, one, the Jacoby Brissett part of it is Jacoby Brissett is just a pro. Like he understood why he was signed in New England for 1 year. They start off with the surprising win against the Bengals, and from each week after that, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. So as that decline was happening, it was just a matter of how quickly Drake May, who was getting more and more reps in practice, could prove himself to the point that the coaches would be like, okay, let's put him out there. So two, the Texans defense, yes. Because when I think about Houston, I just think about what he did to Caleb Williams and the Bears. And they battered and beat him up. I think if you're going to attack Houston, it's in the run game. Because Houston against the run is middle of the league. What do the Patriots do really well? They're 8th in the league rushing yards per game. The weird part about that is Ramondre Stevenson, who looked like he was going to be questionable, I believe is out at this point. So now you're going to be relying on Antonio Gibson. I think Kevin Harris was just called up from the practice squad, but he's been around the team for a couple of years. And JaMycal Hasty. So I don't know how much of the running game will be able to take advantage of that, but like I said, I understand why now. I think the third and maybe the biggest reason, it's a home game. So if all else fails, when Drake May runs out onto the field for the first time, the crowd's going to go crazy. Patriots fans haven't had a lot of reasons to show up or cheer for the Patriots this season, so this will at least give them something. And with that, he gets thrown into the fire against a tough defense, but it's also going to be the first time the Patriots have had the same offensive line for back-to-back weeks. So that should favor a better performance a little bit. I still think it's going to be. I will definitely get into this later on when we talk about the picks for the game, but I think Drake May might be able to do something. If, like I said, if all else fails, he'll at least bring some excitement and new energy and you kind of feel like the play calling should replicate that, where some just something new to the offense.
Mhm.
Maybe he throws a couple of interceptions. So what? As long as he's like driving the ball downfield or just seeing something different, you could look at it and go, okay, it's his first start. There's going to be some issues there. And who knows? Maybe because he starts against Houston, he looks way better next week against the Jags.
One thing I find funny that the Texans have done, they went and stole half my defense from last year. Now they're middle of the pack. Huh? How about them apples?
Yeah. And they have, I think they have like a few cornerbacks who are out. And if you look at like Houston with their like box scores or whatever, the guys who start out on defense play a majority of the snaps. So if any of those guys are out, their backup doesn't have a lot of experience, out there playing against them. So if there are a couple guys in the back end are out, maybe Drake May is able to attack them a little bit better. So I'm expecting to see like quick passing, not allow him to be, destroyed by Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Get the ball out of his hands quickly. And Anthony did say Drake May should have been the starter since day one. I never thought that was going to be on the table because of all the changes that they're doing to the roster. Like they waited until in season for this very reason. Probably to establish where the weaknesses are, and now you can coach him around that as he himself gains the experience. But we'll see. We
I'm
will see.
excited to see him.
I am too. I'm ready to see him. I love Jacoby Brissett. I You will never really hear me say anything bad about him, but this needed to happen because the last thing you needed was Brissett to go out there, have another game where the offense stinks, the fans boo yet again, and now you're turning to Drake May over in London, and then when he comes back, you have jaded fans who are just like over it. So,
Mhm.
all right, is there some issues brewing in Pittsburgh? Russell Wilson is now healthy, is now practicing. Justin Fields, after the great start to the season, has struggled a bit past couple of weeks. So now Mike Tomlin and I guess Arthur Smith and everybody there have a decision to make. Do you run Justin Fields out there for another week, see if he can bounce back? Do you put Russell Wilson out there? Because Russell Wilson was supposed to be the starter from week
Mhm.
one. It was just that he was hurt. And Justin Fields kind of earned the opportunity and played well, but now is struggling. So if you were a Steelers fan, would you let Fields try to work himself out of this, or would you put Russell Wilson in just to see what he can bring?
I give Fields one more game.
Okay.
This upcoming game, week 6, this is his last game.
So if he played
Um,
well, you would
I keep
leave
him
Russ
in.
on the sideline, even if it turns
If
out
it
to be all year.
right
Okay.
now, if you do start during the later half of the year, going back to really the Chicago Justin Fields, then yeah, I'd switch, but not right now. Let him work through it.
That's a valid point, Anthony. Anthony's basically saying, why drop a quarterback from one bad game knowing you only have one good wide receiver?
Right. So I'm like, just let him work through it. Let him learn that certain type of decisions you can't make, and you need to make better decisions. And that was a mess up. Move on. But if it continues to happen, like next week, or if it's just so bad mid game, switch to Russ. Like if all else fails. But I'm not panicking because just let him work. Give him an opportunity to work himself out of it. until he shows you that he can't.
Yeah. Um, I feel like I agree with like you and Anthony. It's difficult to think that you're just gonna kind of push away what Fields has done. And the very first opportunity you could throw Russ out there, you're just gonna go ahead and do it. Fields is still a young player. They obviously brought Fields in. Also, what's going on, Mo? As Mo said, Fields should get another start to hold on to his job. Fields is supposed to be the future for the Steelers, hopefully. Like they're coming off the Kenny Pickett experience, which was horrible. The last couple of years with Big Ben, horrible. So they've been wanting good quarterback play. I feel like you throw Fields out there, you see if he can bounce back from the off game, which would show probably some development in Justin Fields in that it doesn't just spiral out of control and he just gets worse and worse. I get the personality of Russell Wilson as an accomplished quarterback probably is forcing their hand a little bit in this, in that they also don't want Fields to go out there, struggle for another game or two, you lose them, and now you lose some advantage you might have had in the division. It, it's just weird because when they brought these two on, I I believe we kind of said there were potential issues in bringing these two in the same offseason that you could run into. I think for Mike Tomlin
And
and
this is it
Pittsburgh,
right here.
they are running into it right now because it's how much do you believe in what Fields has shown you versus what you know Russell Wilson can be. It'd be easier if Pittsburgh was like 0-5 looking for their first win, and you're like, well, Russ is healthy. Let's put him out there. The Steelers have been one of the surprises of the season. It's probably hard to justify taking that away from Justin Fields right now.
Mhm.
Anthony
And
says
like
if
Anthony
he's
said,
Fields and you bench him, he would ask for a trade.
me too.
Yeah. Maybe that's where
I
this
think
leads to. One of them gets moved by the trade deadline.
probably, and it's probably gonna be Russ.
But if you're going to trade Russ, do you need some game tape out there so teams can see what he can at least bring
True.
this year?
I mean, he has to play. They're in a sticky situation.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck to them figuring that out. But for me, I'm saying keep Russ on the bench for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Have him as a backup. He's a pro. He know where his career is at right now. And as long as Fields doesn't show major signs of regression and he just don't get and just falls off a cliff,
Mm-hmm.
he can work himself out of it. I believe he can work himself out of it. Mind you, and like Mo said, where would you trade Fields to?
Yeah, I was trying to think teams who would be in desperate need of a quarterback. Miami would be one. Depending on the car situation in New Orleans, if Rattler doesn't wow you, would they be desperate enough to want Fields? I don't know. It'd be
The
easy to
Saints
say
are
the
broke.
Giants, but I mean, the Giants need Daniel Jones to figure it out with that price tag.
Mm-hmm.
Could he go to the
Mm-hmm.
Rams? Stafford doesn't have much time left. We've seen McVay work for some quarterbacks. Would he do
I
it for
don't think he's
Fields?
gonna work with Fields. I don't think that's a good fit.
Mo says that Fields is on pace to throw 15, 16 touchdowns. Just saying. What works for Fields and Pittsburgh is with the defense that they have, they just can't have their quarterback
Turning
turn
it
the
over.
ball over. That if Fields leads like 5 field goal drives in a game, they'll take that and hope the defense can hold the other team to 14 points. Like they don't care if they win games 16-13, 16-14. Pittsburgh has always kind of been, Pittsburgh's been like that. That's like that division, that AFC North division is one that's very conservative for the most part. Outside of Cincinnati, Cincinnati's like the one team that's like spread around, throw it all over the place. These other teams love running the ball, time possession, and everything like that. I mean, Baltimore has their moments. Baltimore kind of does both, which gets them in trouble sometimes. But um, hold on, Anthony has. I'm going to give you a
We
head
can do
coach
that later.
name. Tell me what he's done to really keep his job.
We can do
Okay,
that a little later.
all right. Joe Burrow. So the reason why we're bringing up Joe Burrow is because there's been this national media narrative from certain people. I'm looking at Chris Canty and some others who are trying to kind of make us feel like Joe Burrow is wildly overrated. Joe Burrow's the reason for Cincinnati being 1-4. The Bengals have a Joe Burrow problem, not necessarily, looking at his numbers and seeing how good Joe Burrow's been. They're trying to make it seem like it's empty stats and people are making excuses for him and all this kind of stuff. I guess the question here is, are those people just hating and creating a narrative for no reason, or should there be any reason to question Joe Burrow's ability based off of how they've looked so far this season? And do you think they can turn it around with Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow is not the problem in Cincinnati. And this is what I don't get about these national media. Y'all are former football players, y'all are analysts, y'all look at the damn games, and you're sitting here trying to frame it as Joe Burrow is the issue. Joe Burrow is not the problem. Joe Burrow is keeping that team in football games because he can win a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of you scoring 41 points and your defense allows 42? It isn't. This is what's going on in Cincinnati has nothing to do with Joe Burrow. They looked shaky week one versus the Patriots, which is why they got their butts kicked. But since then, they've gotten better offensively, and now they're clicking. The offense of Cincinnati has woken up. The defense is still sleeping.
Yeah.
And it's the media and these crooked purple pigeon fans who just decide that they saw that game versus Cincinnati, like Joe Burrow didn't light their corners up. They try to turn a narrative and hate on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the national media that's doing it. Ravens fans are definitely doing it because for the longest time they've had to live with the fact that everybody thinks Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. It's not a thought. It's a fact. 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 It's factual.
Yeah.
Like, let's be completely honest. It's not on Burrow. It's on the defense. And if you think that it's on Burrow, you don't know ball and you're blind and you're not watching the games.
So I was just saying, I just changed the view because it's just weird with the comments always popping up like over your face. So I figure if we do it this way, the comments can show a little better. I think you brought up two great points there. One, it definitely seems like it's a lot of Ravens leaning fans and like Lamar Jackson leaning media people that for some reason have picked this season as the season to completely trash Joe Burrow. I don't know why, but that's kind of been the narrative with it. And I'm trying to figure out why. Like Lamar Jackson has 2 MVPs. Burrow doesn't have any. So why do you need to hate on him? I get you're within the same division, but if you were going to think about the Ravens main rival within that division, you wouldn't pick Cincinnati either. You'd pick Pittsburgh. So why don't they use this energy to tell us that Fields is terrible or Russ is a bum?
Or they can just shut up. That works
They,
too.
they could easily do that, yes, but we know fans will never do that. We know these media personalities will never do that. So is there some sort of jealousy behind it in Joe Burrow's ability that they maybe Joe Burrow's ability to throw the ball? And they're looking at their guy Lamar, and he's not necessarily the same. Is that where this is from? Are they jealous that Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl and Lamar can't even get there? That's
Bingo.
I'm about to say. That's where it seems like. But like you said, the timing is just weird. Why this season, out of all seasons, are they making it their plan to just trash Joe Burrow week in and week out? And
And
Anthony,
I don't let them do it. Look,
I don't either.
and Brady,
I get so annoyed by it.
and it's, oh, what has he done? He went to a Super Bowl. What the hell has Lamar done?
Yeah.
Win 2 MVPs, and if you win another one without going to a Super Bowl, I'm gonna nullify it personally. He don't need to win another MVP until he do something in the playoffs.
Yeah. Because even looking at the game that they just played, everything coming out of that was about how great Lamar was and all this stuff. Joe Burrow's numbers were better. Only difference is Evan McPherson missed that field goal. If they hit that one, it's a
They
Bengals
win.
win. And I would love to hear what the narrative would have been coming out of that. They probably would have found some way to say it was a fluke win for Burrow and the Bengals or something like that. I don't know. And once again, those of you who might be new to the show, neither one of us are Bengals fans. But like Mo put, I feel like we both like Joe Burrow, the player. I mean, he's shown he's gone up against Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't shy away from that. He's gone up against Josh Allen. He doesn't shy away from that. Gone up against Lamar Jackson. Doesn't shy away from it. He's a very confident player. I have nothing but respect for Joe Burrow. I mean, I would love to say that they turn their season around because the more that they keep losing, the worse and worse this narrative is going to get, and it's just ridiculous. Because if you look at his numbers, he's up there as one of the best quarterbacks in the game this season, and over the course of his career, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So why he doesn't get a pass like some of these other quarterbacks who haven't done anything in their career, anything close to what Joe Burrow's done over his time, but we don't hear much about those quarterbacks. It's been a weekly thing, Burrow bashing.
I just need for Ravens fans to realize, yeah, while y'all focus on Cincinnati, you need to be worried about Jaden Daniels
Yes, which
coming to Baltimore.
we'll definitely get into that over the picks as well. Yeah, because you mentioned it as well. Ravens pass defense has not stopped anybody yet. So for all the celebrating of beating the Bengals, Joe Burrow exposed the defense yet again. You're going up
Hmm.
against Jaden Daniels, who for most of this season has been completing like 80% of his passes. He's not one of these rookies who's just you know closing their eyes and just throwing passes and hoping that they're caught. Jaden Daniels is a very smart quarterback,
Who
and if
also
they
went up
think that,
against Burrow and won and
yeah,
outplayed Burrow.
not a lot of quarterbacks go up against Burrow when Burrow was actually on that day and outperform him, and Jaden Daniels did that and much more. Jaden Daniels can run, but he doesn't want to run. He runs when everything's covered, and he's very smart with his runs. If you give him open receivers, he will carve your defense apart. Like I said, don't necessarily give away the pick because we're going to get to that here very shortly. So, looking at week 5, before we move on to week 6, um, we both went 5-7, I want to say. Yeah, 5-7. Even though there was a couple of these games that were very close, could have gone either way. I'm looking
The
at
Texans
Colts and the
made me
Jags.
mad. They pissed me off so bad. No, it wasn't even the Texans. It was the I picked it. We'll go through it, and I'll tell you exactly which one made me mad.
Yeah. Um, so that's the highlight. Vikings over the Jets we had. Pats Dolphins we missed. Commanders over the Browns we got right. Colts over the Jags we missed.
It was that one
Packers,
right there.
that game, yes, it should have been the Colts win, but they found a way to lose that one. Niners over the Cardinals we got wrong. Packers over the Rams we got right. Seahawks over the Giants was another one that we got wrong. That was definitely a surprise. Steelers over the Cowboys we got that one wrong, and then we got Chiefs over the Saints. The four picks where we differed, we both went 2-2. I took the Bears over the Panthers. You had the Panthers. You had the Ravens right over the Bengals. I had the Bengals. You got the Texans over the Bills right, which for about 98% of that game, I thought I had that one. And then the Bills decided to, you know,
Fold
yes.
like
Now
a clean pair of sheets.
they decided to go 3-and-out and leave time for the Texans to kick a field goal. And then I got the Broncos over the Raiders. You had the Raiders over the Broncos. So going in, I should have updated the. Oh, I did. I updated on the next one. 2023 for you, for me, sorry, and you are 21-22. So you still have the
Doing
game
pretty
lead.
good.
Um,
The
just
Colts pissed me off.
looking back at it really quickly. Yes, Colts and Jags. Go ahead.
They really made me mad because they had that game. I'm like, I will never root for the Colts ever again. I wanted to see the Jags go 0-5. I wanted to see dysfunction. I hate the Jags. Everybody knows I hate the Jags. But I just might hate the Colts more than I hate the Jags. And the fact that I picked the Colts
Mm-hmm.
to beat the Jags, and I trusted them, and they decided to do absolutely nothing when I needed them to do something the most. And now they get the honor of getting beat by my team next week. Good luck. Because they don't have a rush defense.
Mm-hmm.
If that spoils my pick, sorry.
That's all right. Um, yeah, I look, I was watching that game and I was sitting there like, I think Joe Flacco's really about to do this again. He's about to go to a second team in back-to-back years, come into the starting role mid-season, and completely turn that team around. He did it for the Browns last year, and he was off to a good start with the Colts, but they did drop 1-2 to Jacksonville. I assume that they're going to stick with him for the future, at least for the next few weeks until I guess they have to make a decision on Richardson and whether or not they want to insert him back into the lineup. Kind of hard looking at the first two games to think that they should, but they drafted Richardson pretty high for a reason. They kind of
Irsay's going to do it.
I mean they kind of have to because they made the decision
Mm-hmm.
to draft him. You need to give him every opportunity, I guess, to show whether or not he can actually play at this level. Anthony said Pittsburgh should have won. I agree.
And
Yes,
so should Seattle.
they should have. Yes,
I don't know
Seattle should have.
what was that. And then they turned around and followed it with what they put on display for week 6.
Mm-hmm.
And Gino threw a horrible pick. That made me so. That was like what? And it went downhill from there.
Yeah. From that play, I was trying to figure that one out because it seemed like the way Gino threw it, he expected a square in from DK Metcalf, but DK kind of drifted downfield like a slant, which allowed the Niners defender to undercut it. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously Gino threw the pass, so you got to blame him. I think a little bit has to go on DK as well for the route he ran on that play. But yeah, that game that pick definitely turned that game around because up until that, it looked like the Niners were going to blow yet another lead, which has been one of the crazy narratives of this season as well. The Niners get up early, and then for some reason, the past couple of weeks, they switch it off, and teams have made comebacks on them. So maybe the fact that they almost allowed it in this one and turned around and won it, maybe that changes something for them. I don't know. It feel like that was like a mental block that they had getting up big in games and then letting teams they should beat come back on, especially that Rams one. Like the Cardinals have their moments where offensively they look really good, but the Rams, that's one you can't. With the state of the Rams defense, no, you can't do that. All right. Let's go to this week. So we have some interesting games on here. We have another London game, although the Jags are in London, but aren't technically the home team. The Bears are. So we'll get Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams. The Bears seem like they're turning their season around. The Jags come off their first win. The great line from the movie Major League: if you win a second one, they call that a winning streak. Let's see if the Jags can do that, or if the Bears get the advantage here. How do you see this one?
Bears.
Okay. Does that mean we might be on Peterson watch? Last coach to lose in London lost their job.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm definitely saying yes to Peterson watch. Peterson watch for 2 weeks.
Yes. All right. Write these down again. So those of you watching, I will have the picks up probably tomorrow is normally when I get them up from us, so you can keep track of it as well. I want to go to the Bears as well. I feel like the Bears are playing much better right now, and despite the win from the Jags, a lot of Colts ineffectiveness had to go into that for the Jags to win that one. So I'm not sold on Jacksonville, even though, as Anthony said, Jacksonville are the Kings of London. That is true, but the team just is not playing that well right now. So I got to take the Bears. And look out for maybe another good game from DeAndre Swift. Seems like he's starting to get his season going, which is something that the Bears desperately needed. All right, so next up, we got the Cardinals and the Packers. This is an interesting matchup where, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, when they are making their connection, are really good. But I think stats have shown like Marvin Harrison has really good first halves, and then they go away from him in the second half. You got a Packers team that, with Jordan Love, they are really dangerous on offense. And defensively, they have Xavier McKinney, who seems to be intercepting everything that's within the area code that he's in. So how do you see this one going? Do you think Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison will be able to make some magic against that team, or do the Packers just,
I think the Packers take that.
All right. I have the Packers as well.
I feel like the Cardinals will have some flashes, but I feel like the Packers are going to take that game because their defense is legit. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact.
Wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals
they have a good defense
in the first half. Maybe go into the half like tied and the Packers pull away a little bit in the second half. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how the game goes. Anthony also said Packers. So if you are watching and you want to drop your pick as well, like Anthony is in the comments, definitely do that. Next up, this one is very close to your heart. Those Colts who are no longer winless. For some reason I had the Jags on the brain. The Colts, who coming in with Joe Flacco, has them playing much better. You have your Titans coming off of a bye week. So it'll be interesting to see over the bye week, what did they work on? They come out of that playing better, getting after an older quarterback. We know Joe Flacco wasn't the most mobile when he was younger. So how do you see your Titans doing against the Colts?
Make me a lie, Tennessee. I promise you. Because I have them winning this game because I'm wary. The Colts they don't have a good rush defense to me. Their offensive line is a little shaky to me. We should be able to get home.
Mhm.
And Will Donovan on the field. Now they're starting. You're healthy. I do not want to see you be a meme for the no more memeable faces. Quit crying on the goddamn sideline because your shoulders hurt. I look, bro, get it together because we would have a better record. We could be 4-1, 3-2, or whatever. Whatever, Anthony. Because now I'm not gonna because it's not logical out loud. That's not logical. Um, Stop doing dumb stuff on the field. We could be 3-2, 4-1 if he stop pressing and doing dumb stuff, literally, and doing boneheaded
Mhm.
stuff. He's a good quarterback.
Oh, she dropped out again. All right, she should be oh, right back. Sorry. I will say piggyback off of uh what you were saying about the defense. Looking at the numbers, the Colts defense is 32nd overall. They're 31st against the rush, 29th against the pass. The Titans offense is 18th against the uh was 18th with the run. So that's, middle of the pack, but I feel like if they show a commitment to the run against the Colts defense that can't stop it, that's probably going to be their path to victory in this one. And I do like Spears and Pollard in the backfield, so this might be a bit of a hint for you. If you are in a fantasy football league and you have Pollard or Spears, you might want to play them. I'm just saying. Hold on a second. All right. Yeah, Jory's trying to get back on here in a second. So there she is. Welcome back. So I was just saying that because you brought up the numbers, the Colts defense, they're 32nd overall, so they're the worst defense. They're second to last in terms of rush defense, and they're 29th in pass defense. So I was just saying, if you have Pollard or Spears on your fantasy team, you might want to think about playing one of them because of the Titans. I feel like show a commitment to the run, then this is the game that they should be able to win. So I'm assuming. Well, I mean, I know you're
And
taking
I
the
agree.
Titans.
And I just said 2 minutes ago, Anthony, before I was disconnected, that I was tired of him being a meme every week. You don't think I did? You not listen to me when I just said that? I just said that, and it's not negating the fact that when he does boneheaded stuff, it's really bad. But it's not negating the stuff outside of the boneheaded plays, which are really good plays as well. That's why I'm so defensive when it comes to him because for him, literally, just knock out the dumb stuff. That's all it is with him. Him and Josh Allen make me mad when they start being reckless.
Yeah. I mean, don't they? I was trying to think. They compare the two of them a lot?
I see some parallels. I do see the parallels. I see it. You can call me crazy all you want to. I see it. But people who don't pay attention, who follow what mainstream media says about this team, who are obviously misguided because it's a smaller market team and misinformed and like to spread that type of crap, They don't see it. Most people, like people, if you watch Will play, you can see there's some Josh Allen parallels, good and bad. You can see it.
Yeah,
He's accurate. Like
let's went
when
through
he
that.
does them dumb arm punts, because he does dumb arm punts too. He's accurate with them things.
Hmm.
So I'm like, Will is not a bad quarterback. He just does dumb stuff, and we just need him for to get him to eliminate that, to stop making a bad situation worse.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was like looking around to see what his draft like comparison was. Oddly enough, one publication had Jay Cutler, which I mean Jay Cutler, guy, great arm. I will say Will Levis has more of a pulse than Jay Cutler does.
He's more of a meathead. He cares. Don't ever compare Will Levis to Jay Cutler.
That was just one comparison. I saw somewhere else where they compared him to Ryan Tannehill.
How fitting. Are we talking about Miami Tannehill or are we talking about Tennessee Tannehill?
I'm assuming they're probably comparing it to Tennessee Tannehill. So there you go. Somewhere between I guess Tannehill and Cutler is where a lot of people had him profiled before the draft.
And
Interesting,
add a dash of Josh Allen.
right? So somewhere in there, if he limits in one area and expands upon another area, I agree with you. I think you have a starting quarterback. Like obviously, I can't predict what kind of career he'll have, but I feel like yeah, there's something to build off of, and hopefully that's what they did in their bye week. So I think we're both going Titans in this one. Next up, Houston Texans travel to New England for a road game against the Patriots and Drake May's first start. I will say, I think the weather may be a factor in this one. I think it's supposed to rain during the game. You've mentioned a couple of times you haven't been thoroughly impressed by the Texans. So, do you think there's a chance May could win his first start against the Texans?
Yes, because
So,
your
what
defense
are
is
you
still
taking
legit.
them?
No.
Okay.
I'll pick the Texans just so my
Mhm.
record can stay clean. But I will put the Texans on upset watch.
Okay.
They might start playing better now that they have Drake May.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I mean, for me, I would love to say Drake May shows up, throws like 4 touchdowns, and they get a big win, everything like that. I feel like they'll look better as a team, but I think the Texans are a really good team, and I gotta go with the Texans winning this one. Anthony says we're not putting money on that. Yes, I would be a fool to sit here and say, oh, the Patriots will blow them out, and Drake May is going to look like the next, Patrick Mahomes or something like that. No, I think realistically we might see a touchdown pass. I think we'll see some scrambles from him. We'll probably see a pick, and I think the Patriots make it somewhat of a close game for, let's say, 3/4 of it. I think the line's like 7, so they're expecting the Texans to win by a touchdown. I might be inclined to say the Patriots could even cover that, but I don't know if I'd go that far. But I'll take the Texans as well. All right, let's rattle through some of these. Bucks against the Saints. Saints don't have Derek
Bucks.
Carr. I mean, do you feel like Rattler could possibly break down this Bucks defense and beat them? I don't know. So who do you have winning this one? All I cut out again. All right, we're gonna. I guess we'll have to figure out why it keeps doing that. That's weird. Hold on a second, guys. Um, so I'll say that I will go with the Bucks in this one. I feel like the Bucks defense with Bulls and those guys will make it difficult on Rattler for his first start. So yeah, I'll take the Bucks over the Saints. I feel like it's a tough start for Rattler. Okay, all right. So it looks like Jory's having some technical issues. So I'll run through the rest of these picks, and I'll get the picks from her and put them up on our page. All right. So Browns Eagles. I think I'm gonna go with the Eagles in this one. All right, she's gonna give one more shot to come back in. So Anthony, you have the Eagles on upset alert. Interesting. Hold on. Okay, Jory. So I was just telling him I know you're having some technical issues, so we'll get through as much of this as we can. But Bucks Saints, I'm taking the Bucks. I feel like the defense will get to Rattler. How do you see that one?
Bucks.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take the Eagles.
Anthony has them on upset alert.
If they get beat by the Browns, Sirianni should be fired.
I feel like there's no way he could survive that. I don't
If
think
you lose,
Philly wouldn't allow him in the stadium if they lose to the Browns.
exactly. If you lose to a quarterback who posted a QBR either last week or 2 weeks ago of 8, you deserve to lose your job.
Yeah. I have the Eagles as well. Like they have to win that game. All right, so here we go. Commanders Ravens. They're trying to tout this as the budding of some great rivalry. I mean, can they at least play the game first and let's see what it looks like? Because a lot of them think Jaden Daniels at his best will be Lamar Jackson, so that's why they're trying to create this as something. I can make the argument as a resident Ravens hater. Jaden Daniels could be better than Lamar. There's a shock for you. He doesn't have to
Jaden
be
Daniels
Lamar.
can actually
He could
throw.
be better. Yes. So how are we seeing this one?
I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Commanders.
Okay. See, I was kind of hoping you might have gone with the Ravens. I was going to be like, I'm going to take the Commanders. I have a weird feeling that Jaden Daniels may start off a little slow against the Ravens, but I think once he turns it on, I think the Ravens are going to have a hard enough trouble stopping him. Problem is the Commanders' defense hasn't been great, but they are playing much better the last couple of weeks. So
They're
I
getting
think
it
if the
together.
Commanders, yes, and I think if the Commanders can keep it close early, they have a good chance. If the Ravens obviously go out and get like a 21-0 lead, even though they have the propensity to blow leads, I don't know if they would do that necessarily against the Commanders.
Yes,
I'm
they
kind of there
would.
with you. I mean, they could, yes. But I feel like all
They
the
did it
numbers
against the
point to
Raiders.
that's also true, yes. I think the numbers are pointing to Jane Daniels having a big day, and I think, yeah. So I'm taking the Commanders as well. I was hoping that was going to be my surprise one. All right. So Anthony alluded to, I just saw this breaking news apparently. Devontae Adams could end up staying with the Raiders rather than being traded, is the latest news out of Vegas. Which
I'm so sick and tired of these wide receivers playing if and when I want to be here and when I want to not. Pick a side and choose it and stop being dramatic.
I wonder if that's
Uh,
probably did they come to him and say, "Look, the Jets really want you"? And Devontae Adams was like, "I kind of don't want
No,
to
I'm
be with
good.
Aaron Rodgers right now." That would be
And
kind
I
of
don't
an
blame him.
interesting twist to it.
Like, pick. I'm tired of these wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk wore my nerves thin this offseason. And now
Yeah,
Devontae Adams is starting his crap now. Pick what do you want to do? Do you want to stay a Raider? Do you want to be a Jet? Do you want to be a Chief? Do you want to be a Dolphin? What pick it out, figure it out.
yeah,
Figure it out.
I completely agree. But let's go ahead and get the rest of these picks. Jim Harbaugh's Chargers head to Denver to face the all of a sudden above 500 Broncos led by Bo Nix. First time with Jim Harbaugh versus Sean Payton. Who wins that? Who wins the game?
Because I don't like Peyton, I'm picking Harbaugh. I pick the Chargers. Wait, is Herbert hurt?
That's actually a good question. Let me look that up. I know he has the ankle injury, but I want to know what's the official call. For
Status.
some
What is
reason,
his
I feel like
status?
it's probably questionable.
Because Denver has a good defense, so I might just change my pick to Denver.
All right, hold on. Let me tell you. It looks like. Is he not listed on the injury report? I find that hard to believe. Chargers. Apparently, Herbert is not even on the report.
So he's fine. Okay.
I guess he's good to go. Anthony's picking
Mm,
Denver, and he said for Devontae Adams, the asking price was probably too high. That's probably the legit reason for it. I just want to throw in the Aaron Rodgers part because I think that'd be good for the story.
hmm
All right, so you're going with the Chargers. I feel like I think we're gonna be in agreement once again.
Oh,
Even though I think Bo Nix and Denver could obviously pose problems for Chargers team that offensively hasn't been great, but I'm not ready to buy in with Denver yet, so that's probably why I am picking against them. Yeah,
I just don't like Sean Payton.
sure. Although it does say Gus Edwards is on injured reserve as of Saturday, and Asante Samuel Jr. as well, which
That's big, though. That is kind of big.
so the Chargers bring in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards is the one that gets hurt. Make
hmm
that make sense. All right, Steelers Raiders. We have the
Steelers.
Steelers who are now going with Aiden O'Connell as Gardner Minshew's been benched. The Steelers, Fields or Russ. Could we see both of them possibly in this game? Steelers looking to bounce back from the Cowboys loss. So how do you see this one going?
Steelers.
Steelers, okay. I have the Steelers as well. I feel like
Whatever they
eventually,
choose, that quarterback is going to be better than Aiden O'Connell.
exactly. And Max Crosby's still out.
Oh, yeah, Steelers.
All right, we got the Lions and the Cowboys. Cowboys coming off the Steelers win. Have they turned it around? Sure. Lions, I feel like with all of the hype they had last year and into the offseason, it almost seems like the Lions are flying under the radar this
Again.
season. But how do you see this one going?
Lions.
Okay.
Dallas can't stop the run. Don't
And
let
the
what
Lions
they
love
did
to run.
versus Pittsburgh fool you. Dallas can't stop the run. And the Lions, they love to run, and they have a plethora of different ways that they can run it.
Yep.
And then I
Also,
don't trust their corners as well.
yeah.
I don't
And
trust
with
them.
the Steelers game, I feel like that's more of an indictment on Najee Harris because
It is.
he hasn't been that great.
Mm-mm.
Falcons Panthers. Is there
Falcons.
any chance the Falcons falcon this up and lose to the Panthers?
And if they do, you'll just have to tune in next week because I will not have a good reaction to that.
Okay. I got the Falcons as well. If they want to be taken seriously, they cannot be losing to Carolina. Bengals Giants. I know a lot of people have the Bengals on upset alert. I believe they're the favorite in this game. At least they should be. I think some people are maybe buying into the Giants a little bit more than probably before the season after their play the past couple of weeks. We just talked about the Joe Burrow stuff and their offense looking so much better now. So who do you have winning this one?
I do put the Bengals on upset alert because I will take into account how the Giants have been playing for the past few weeks
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that the Bengals can't stop Jack. But the Bengals are still a better team.
Okay. If I had to give you this question, where do you think the Giants' pass offense is ranked in the league?
Like 26,
They're actually 13th.
huh? Damn.
They are 13th in the league in pass offense.
Well, because of
See,
Malik Neighbors. Probably.
yeah,
But
that's
he's not
interesting.
playing. He's going to concerts. He's not playing.
Right. All right. So I think we both got the Bengals. For all we know, that game could turn into a sneaky shootout, which I would tune in. That would be interesting. Last one, Buffalo trying to bounce back from that atrocious ending to the Texans game versus the revitalized Jets now that Robert Sala's out of the building. At least that's what the Jets fans would like to think. Who
A
wins
tie.
this one on Monday night?
Just because the Jets did that BS to Robert Saleh, I'm picking the Bills.
Okay.
Just because.
Okay.
Because that was not right.
It really wasn't. It was not. I I want to say the Bills in this one, but I've played the scenario out that Aaron Rodgers, being the attention seeking diva that he is, knows all the talk around him coming into this game. It would be the most Aaron Rodgers thing to do to all of a sudden play his best game of the season and go off into the post game interview and look like the happiest guy in the NFL. Because we know the one thing that I cannot stand about Aaron Rodgers, he gives off big time front running energy, and this is going to be his moment to be the biggest front runner and act like he's bought into the team and this team is so much whatever. So I'm gonna take the Jets in this one, even though back of my mind I would love to see the Bills absolutely destroy them, because then I want to see what does the narrative become at that point. Because Salah's out of the building. If they turn around and get beat, what do they say? They'll probably say you got to give it a couple of weeks with the new coach. I'm not buying that, because all they've done is elevate the DC to the coach. They elevated the passing game coordinator to the OC. It's the same thing, but it's supposed to look better. Hey, what's going on, Bella? Also, I feel for Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's a
I
talented wide receiver, and Brees Hall as well. Those two are not being utilized enough. So,
mm-mm.
and teams on a bye. Do have to let you know the Chiefs and Vikings, the two undefeated teams, on a bye this week. The Rams are on a bye. They probably could use that, and the Dolphins are the teams on a
They could
bye this
also
week.
probably use that.
Absolutely can. So there you go. I mean, for our picks, we basically agreed on all of them except the last one. So we both have the Bears, Packers, Titans, Texans, Bucks, Eagles, Commanders, Chargers, Steelers, Lions, Falcons, Bengals. You have the Bills. I have the Jets. So all that's going to turn into is next week. I'll either lose a game on you or gain a game and we'll be tied.
Tied.
We'll see. Um, but before we go, make sure you guys check us out on Tumblr for our blog. We have some articles up there. We'll say that it's been a while, I think, since we both put one up there. Life happens. But if you do want to see some of the
Yes.
stuff we have put up there, check us out. Uh, give us a follow. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you want some more content from the show when we're not live every Friday, although this week we came on Saturday, make sure go over there and check us out. Uh, I think I put one up about Drake May. I might put up another one, and yeah, we just have plenty coming down the line. So go over there, follow us. We feel like you will find it entertaining. So I'm gonna leave that up there so you guys can remember. It's in the description as well. If you need the link to it. But Jory, before we get out of here, anything you want to add?
I have a video coming out tomorrow. Will be recorded from about my observations about weeks 1 through 5. You'll get weeks 6 through 9 after the conclusion of week 9. And then I'll go 10 through 13 and then 13 through 18. 10 through
Okay.
14, 14 through 18. I like to cover the season in chunks. Kind of like I just like to cover it in chunks so I can
Mhm.
be detailed about changes and how I think about these things. So that'll be out tomorrow. I'll probably do a big old article about it, and that should be out next week. And then I'll have one out for week 6 through 10 or 9, whatever I choose
Mhm.
at the conclusion of week 9 or 10. That's pretty much all I got going on. But follow over on Joy Sports Stories.
Okay. Um, yeah, for me, I mean, you kind of see me here on the network, but for my channel, I would love to see some of you follow me over chomping at the bit. I should have a video up as well because I have to do my picks where I do them against the spread over there. So I'll have a video up about that. My picks going over there are, yeah, it's kind of slipping away, but hey, I'm gonna try to bounce back. And I should have an article up probably after Drake May's debut, kind of breaking all that down and my thoughts on that. So look out for those as well. Oh, Anthony, I completely missed this comment here. Random fact: Watson has more lawsuits settled than TD's thrown since joining the Browns. Well,
That's their dumbass fault.
200 and some odd million guaranteed later. That's all they can say about it. So, hey,
That is Cleveland's fault. They're going to go get a clown.
yes.
And the fact that he's not playing well brings music to my ears.
So I guess one final question before we get out of here. I guess yes or no. Do we see Jameis Winston on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. So there you go. There you go. We'll
Kevin
leave it with
Stefanski,
that.
if he has a spine and has control of that team, we'll be seeing Jameis on Sunday.
Okay. There you go. We will end it on that. I will say I have a feeling we don't. I feel like we should, but we won't. So we'll see who is right. But appreciate you all tuning in. Like I said, we're normally here every Friday, sometimes Saturday. So just all you got to do is hit that notification bell. That way, when we do go live, you'll be notified and you'll be like, all right, let me tune in. It's a good show. Um, make sure you follow, subscribe, Integrity Sports Network. As Jory said, check her out, Jory Sports Stories. I'm also at Chomping at the Bit. Make sure you check us out, Tumblr, for Passion and Precision's blog over there. And yeah, enjoy the games this weekend. We will be back next week. Will I be praising a Drake May performance or will I be, I don't know. I don't know if I can handle a poor Drake May performance, but we'll see. We'll see how I am. And will Jory's Titans be back-to-back winners? Because you got your first win going into the bye, will they have a
I'm so
second
glad.
coming out of it?
'Cause look, if we would have went in winless with the Jags, I would have lost my mind
Yeah.
because we're better than what our record says.
Yeah. Well, look, maybe the bye was a chance for them to reset things, and if they come out of it playing better, still plenty of season left. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, we'll be back with more topics next week. We'll have some more of the GM survey because, like I said, there's like 50 something questions on there, and some of them are very interesting. And we'll be breaking down week 6 of the NFL and looking ahead to week 7. It's flying by right now. So for myself and Jory and Bella made her appearance as well. This is Passion and Precision. We're out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy the games this weekend. We'll see you next week.